All right, so we are ready to go. So hi everybody, I wanted to introduce you to Katie McDade. She is the Museum Learning Specialist for the Canadian Museum of History as well as the Canadian War Museum. And she's here today to connect with you, let you know of how, the wonderful resources that are available to you right now and in the future for you. She's going to take you through the Teacher's Zone, Teacher's Club, and History Box, as well as all the other wonderful things that are available. And what we'll do is did you want to make this available to everybody at the end as well?
Sure.
Okay, so we'll put this presentation as well as this recording up on our website, and all of the information will be available to you after the session this evening. So thanks everybody for joining. Thanks Katie for being here today, and I'll pass it along to you.
Okay, so thank you so much for inviting me to speak about the museum's resources. As Lisa mentioned, I am part of the learning team, so the team that creates all of the educational programming that you find sort of on-site, but also online at both the Canadian Museum of History and the Canadian War Museum. I'm part of a fabulous team there. And one of the things that we'd like to do going forward is just forge better relationships with our local teachers, both local teachers and national teachers as well, but particularly our local teachers, in figuring out and finding out what kinds of resources you need. So this presentation sort of started as a conversation that I had with Lisa and some of her colleagues. And as I was sharing what we have, she suggested doing a presentation, but I'd like to think of it too as sort of a two-way street. So there's my contact information is the last slide. And I really welcome you to let me know what kinds of resources you're looking for, what kinds of professional development opportunities might be something that you're looking for, because we're really hoping to develop some great resources for our educators. But as Lisa mentioned, I'm going to be talking about CMH resources specifically today, and that is specifically the Teachers Club newsletter, our History Box traveling kit, and the Teacher Zone online resources. And particularly with the Teacher Zone resources, we have a lot of great material related to Black Canadian history. So I know as the curriculum changes, that will be something that you'll be looking to amplify in your classrooms. And we have a lot of great resources for that. So just move the slide here. And this is the page that you will come to when you go to the History Museum website. And I have circled in blue the Educators tab. So what the view is that you're seeing is when you sort of hover your mouse over Educators, that tab will pop down where you can click to see our school visits. You can join the Teachers Club newsletter. You can find more educational resources. You can book a history box, and that's our traveling educational kit, and see a little bit more about what it is, as well as to the left there, you can click onto our Teacher Zone online platform. Our websites had gone through a redesign, so in case this looks a little new, if you haven't been in a little while, just clicking on the Educators tab will get you to those pages. I will also encourage you to join our Teachers Club. So again, you can access it from the Educators tab, but the link is provided on this slide. Essentially, the Teachers Club newsletter is a monthly mailing that you will get that details the educational offers at both museums, but it also highlights online resources. It might have a few quizzes or interactives. And it for this summer, if you haven't joined yet, please join now, because the June edition comes with a offer code that you can come to the museum for free to both museums from June 23rd to September 8th. So lots of perks like that, as well as getting a first dibs on signing up for the History Box and Supply Line discovery kits. So I encourage you to join the Teachers Club. The History Box. So some of you might have already booked this box for your classes or have seen it in some of your colleagues' classes. but this is a program that is about 3 years old now. And we developed it in consultation with a national teacher advisory. So every object that is in that box, all of the materials in that box have been designed by teachers for teachers. And essentially, there are 25 representative objects from different periods in Canadian history. If you have been to the museum and have seen the Canadian History Hall, all of the objects and stories that are in the box are found in that signature exhibition. So we have objects from time immemorial to 1763, which aligns with the first gallery, 1763 to 1914, which aligns with the second gallery, and the third gallery is 1914 to the present day. You'll see on the right there a wonderful picture of a poster that one of the local schools made for us and sent after getting the kit. Each object comes with an artifact backgrounder that gives the historical significance, as well as there's a general overview for teachers to talk about how to use the kit, talks a little bit more about the objects and the curriculum themes that each object fits into. And there's some lesson plans. So a lot of teachers use the history box, each object to sort of as an entry point into talking about different periods of Canadian history, or just through artifact inquiry to build students' historical thinking skills, build their analysis skills. And so there's some lesson plans that kind of guide you through that process, and a lesson plan that also you can make a museum in your classroom. A lot of teachers, when they get the box, that's how they use it. Each student sort of becomes an expert into one of the objects. So you can see where the students were drawing. That's either their favorite object or maybe an object that they became an expert on and then shared with their class. So that is a great resource. And the Teacher Zone. So the Teacher Zone was launched around 5 years ago. And it was also done in collaboration with this National Teacher Advisory Group. So both the layout of the website, as well as the kinds of material, the kinds of content, the kinds of activities, those were all suggested and vetted by teachers. So we're pretty confident that it is user-friendly and it's a resource that you will find helpful. This is a snapshot of the homepage. So you can see that there's a pretty robust search function where you can search by keywords. If you were to look at the object type, you could distill that down into document, photograph, oral history, different types of primary sources. Object origin is the origin of the object. So by province, by city, you could search, or by country. And package theme, all of our resources are grouped as packages that are subject matter commonly found in the Canadian school curricula. So package theme might be something like Canadian identity, geography and environment, Indigenous and European relations, relationships and community, social and economic changes, and migration and immigration. So each of these objects you can see below. If this weren't a still, I could scroll further down, and where you see Revolution Remix, Survivor Truths, Black Women, Change Makers, these are all packages of content, and each package has a number of primary sources, a variety of primary sources in terms of clips, documents, images, as well as activities. So I mentioned that we have some particularly strong resources related to Black history at the moment. And currently on the Teacher Zone, there are 4 packages dedicated to Black history content. And we are currently developing another one that will be available on the website probably by June. We are just uploading it now. And you may be able to see where it says Black Life Impact Foundation on some of the packages, Black Women Changemakers of the 19th and 20th Centuries, Early Black Communities. And the bottom there is Revolution Remix, Systematic Racism and Black Empowerment Movements in the 1960s Canada. Those packages were developed in collaboration, in partnership with the Black Life Impact Foundation. And the Black Life Impact Foundation was that educational arm, this foundation that was developed in connection with the CBC 8-part documentary series, Black Life Untold Stories, that launched in October of 2024, I believe. And it's a really, really comprehensive, very well done documentary of Black life in Canada. And that is available on CBC Gem, and it should be made available on Curio in the coming months, but it's definitely available on CBC Gem. And the Canadian Museum of History partnered with them to create accompanying educational resources. So these packages include video clips and additional resources from the series, and they're really, really robust. I should mention now that all of our material, including the history box, the Teachers Club newsletter, all of these packages are in French and English, and all of the objects are in French and English. And the clips that accompany the packages from the CBC documentary series, they also have been translated and are available in both languages. So there's definite equity in terms of language in the packages that you're getting. So the Black Women Changemakers package specifically was developed with curriculum experts in Black Canadian history, as well as teachers. So not only sort of curriculum experts, but teachers that are in the classroom. As I mentioned, in collaboration with the Black Life Impact Foundation. And just looking at my notes here to make sure I don't miss anything. It features video excerpts from the series, photographs and documents that really celebrates and investigates Black women in Canada in the 19th and 20th centuries through the specific lenses of identity, joy, and resilience. You can see on the side there where it says topics. So they're looking at Black women change makers through the topic of creating a positive Black identity, confronting anti-Black racism, and trailblazers. And so in each topic, there are several objects, which are primary sources that relate to that topic. Early Black Communities is a package that highlights the presence of people of African descent throughout Canada who created thriving communities despite obstacles of racial discrimination, and includes the communities of Africville and Nova Scotia, Black Strathcona or Hogan's Alley in Vancouver, British Columbia, and Little Burgundy in Montreal. So collectively, these Black communities represent the expansive experiences, stories, and cultures produced by Black people in Canada. And it shows how the contributions of Black people have enriched and continue to enrich Canada's cultural, social, and historical identities. The next package is Revolution Remix, and it focuses specifically on Black empowerment movements in Montreal in 1960s Canada, specifically the Congress of Black Writers that was held at McGill University, as well as the George Williams University Affair. So doing a deep dive into those movements. This fourth package was not part of the packages done in development with the Black Life Impact Foundation, but it was done in collaboration with a lot of community members in Africa and Nova Scotia. A lot of African Nova Scotian community members helped to contribute artifacts, and their stories lend their voices in the development of this package. And it really explores the history, how history is made in everyday life. by looking at the African Nova Scotian community life in arts and culture, to Viola Desmond's taking a stand in a New Glasgow movie theater, ultimately making advancements in civil rights. Really special to this package is there's a lot of oral history clips from Wanda Robson, who's the sister of Viola Desmond, who is also an important figure in her own right, but she came to the museum in 2020, in February of 2020, and did an oral history with us. So we have a lot of her stories that are part of this package. And also one of my favorite parts of this package is that it has an interview with former Africville resident Beatrice Wilkins and Carm Robertson, who is an educator at the Africville Museum. And together they are making a recipe found in the Africville Kitchen, The Comforts of Home, a recipe book that the Africville Heritage Trust sells. And it's a book that has compiled a lot of traditional recipes from families who lived in Africville. And it's just a really beautiful video of them connecting over the recipe, enjoying the food, and sharing stories of Africville. And I mentioned earlier that we had partnered with the Black Life Impact Foundation to create educational resources that accompany the 8-part documentary series. If you go to this page, blacklifeseries.com, again, it's in French and English, all of these resources. You will find episode watch guides. So each episode has a watch guide that was developed that highlights specific clips. It has pre-viewing activities and post-viewing activities, glossary, activity suggestions, links to further resources. They're really great, beautifully designed resource guides. There's also links to our Teacher's Own packages from this page, as well as there is a webinar, a recording of a webinar that was done with the launch of these resources. So it gives a little bit more context, a little bit more on how to use these resources in your classroom. And that webinar is also available in French and English that you can view. Again, you're going to get this PowerPoint. It'll be made available, but I've left my contact information here because I'm very, very open to any questions you have, comments, suggestions, anything that you'd like to share in terms of what you're looking for that the museum can support you in the classroom. So I think I'll stop there. And let's see.
Katie, I just wanted to ask, what's sort of coming down the pipe for your roadmap with different things? Are you looking at any specific topics? Like I know, for example, with our history curriculum, we're looking at the Ukrainian genocide. We're looking at more Jewish Holocaust. That's being sort of, it's an addendum that's going to be coming in with our Ontario curriculum. And I know that you do this, you know, Canada-wide. You're not just focused on Ontario, but just to let you know that that's sort of coming. Are there any things that are going to be focused on with regard to that?
Yes, I remember you had mentioned that in our conversation. So I shared it with, the rest of the team. And that is something that specifically with our War Museum, we are better placed to sort of share. We've got more content that we are able to develop resources around. And we are also looking at partnering with a lot of institutions because we're not necessarily the expert in every sort of topic of Canadian history. So partnering with the Toronto Holocaust Museum, partnering with other institutions that may hold more resources to either create resources or maybe sort of co-create professional development sessions with. We are also looking at working with teachers specifically. Now, this is something that we're talking about. We don't have necessarily a specific plan, but working with teachers to support them in creating resources that we can then share with other teachers. So whether that's having teachers in a fellowship or some type of arrangement like that where they can use our collections to create lesson plans. We're looking at things like that.
Oh, that would be great. So this way there could be like a bank of resources that come from Ontario teachers or Nova Scotian teachers or what have you to build onto the curriculum. Well, that's wonderful.
And looking at really PD opportunities, I keep saying PD, but however this shapes out, but teachers teaching teachers. So what worked in your classroom? You have a lesson that really worked. How can the museum help that teacher share with teachers across Canada? So we're looking at things like that.
Okay, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
And I just want to pass it on to Amy. Do you have any questions for Katie?
I don't. I thought that was really a great overview, Katie, and I thank you for sharing all of those wonderful resources that we'll promote with both languages.
Oh, of course. I could talk about the Teacher Zone and the History Box all day, and we're really proud of the Black History resources that we've created. So, hopefully those are helpful to you as the curriculum changes in your classroom, but we expect more to come. So we want to respond to the changes and be able to create helpful resources.
Well, I think what I'll do is I'll stop the recording. And if anyone has any questions for Katie, as you know, the end of the slide is her contact information. When I pass this along, I'll make sure that her information is readily available to you as well. And if you have any questions about any of the things that she mentioned here today, by all means, just reach out to either myself or to Katie or Amy, and we'll be happy to help you. So thanks for joining everyone today, and I appreciate you taking your time.